Oi, welcome to the 30th Bienal de São Paulo Audioguide.
Between the first floor, where we referred to the presence of abstract and post-abstract languages, and this third floor, on the monumental ramps in Niemeyer's building and around them, on the columns, visitors can discover the intervention in the form of a mural painting by Olivier and Nottellet, echoing these problems and subtly turning into as many compositions as the bodily movements we make before them. Upon stepping off the ramp on this third floor, we find two forms of intervention in the space. Two wall paintings. On the right, the conclusion of Nottellet's work. On the left, the presence of the work of Ricardo Basbaum, who also intervenes upon the walls with his schemes of activity and poetic understanding of territory, of human exchanges, poetics in action, words, drawings, sounds, encounters. If Basbaum is interested in the amplitudes and extended fields of the economy of the donation on a social and individual scale, Nottellet is interested in situations of precarious balance and solitude, in the life of things, in the metaphorical activation of a space by way of our individual actions. These two artists introduce the visitor to the third floor, which is dedicated to territories, the poetic exploration of territorialities, the individual and groupal occupation of spaces, be they exterior or infinite, interior or subjective, to be transformed into poetic, active, ephemeral, temporal events. On one side, Basbaum, Ader, Sigurdur, Gudmundsson, and Allan Kaprow constitute a trilogy of artists of reference more or less linked to conceptual traditions in whose individual works, and in the case of Kaprow, activations, we find unusual or simply circumstantial situations revealing the fact that the space does not depend at all on essences, that it is totally accidental, the fruit of accidents of existence. On the other side, Alfredo Cortina, whose work is being shown to the public for the first time ever, Saul, Fletcher, and Nino, Cais, offer a perspective more geared toward the fact that it is a specific subject, a person, someone else, in the case of Cortina, or the artist himself, who deploys a repertoire of spatial occupations able to appropriate spaces as well as, in the case of Cortina, transform the landscape into a device of desubjectification, into a machine that objectifies presences. Finally, artists such as Helen, Mirra, Dave Halfish Bailey, Marcelo, Coutinho, and Alejandro, Cesarco, whose works return to the leitmotif of language, which here is related to the spaces and memories of intimate and social places, fields of occupation and abandonment, produce classificatory repertoires that are more or less hermetic and poetic and at times voluntarily illegible, providing an approximation of the unquantifiable dimensions of the poetic experience referring to their own or others' spaces. These are works that tend to resemble typologies, be they of language, bodies, or objects, which will be at the center of our next section where our visit will conclude.